This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk right here on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. It is a bitter cold morning. Well, bitter relatively speaking. 23 degrees here in East Greenbush, New York. I haven't given you guys a weather update in a while. I apologize. Some of you are probably happy about it. Little frost on the pumpkin. My guest today, Hank Gola, is going to be playing some golf down probably on the island, but Long Island. We'll talk to him about that. I know he may have a frost delay as well. I want to thank my guest last week, but my guest last week was me, so we won't spend a lot of time on that. A lot of stuff going on, guys. Be sure you're watching our Sunday Stream of Consciousness show this weekend. We got lots to talk about in the world of college football. We'll wrap up the World Series. We'll talk about the NFL and some of the nonsense going on, which we'll talk about going on, or talk today with Hank. And also, don't forget the College Football Huddle. You guys have done a great job supporting that show on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock, and I have enjoyed doing that show. But for now, since Hank is going to want to play some golf today, and his phone only has so much power, let's get Hank Gola in and say good morning. Good morning, Hank.
Good morning, Keith. How are you?
So 20, what do you got? 28 degrees down there?
Pulled into our parking lot at the club, yeah. So I think we'll have it. North Jersey Country Club in Wayne.
Oh, North Jersey. Okay.
Yeah, but it's we'll have a little frost delay, I'm sure. So
I forgot you were in Jersey. I was thinking you were out on the island. I don't know why.
No, I don't like going to the island. It's a 2-hour trip. To go out there, it's 2 hours because of traffic. One thing breaks down on the Cross Bronx Expressway, and you're screwed.
Good point. It's also probably colder out there today, I'll bet, too.
Probably a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned cold, like 23 degrees is not really bitter.
No. Well, for November.
Hit the Green Bay in January for a player.
Well, even East Greenbush in January, it's not bitter, really, to be honest with you. So
coldest I was walking. If you remember the Sean Landeta whiff game, the 85 pair playoff game, that was the coldest I ever was. Walking from the parking lot to the press box entrance at Soldier Field, and it was, of course, the old Soldier Field before they redid it. Yeah. And I remember, I forgot what the spread was, but I remember watching warm-ups, and the Giants had a kicker named Eric Schubert. And they basically pulled him out of a clay. He was teaching high school in Lakeland High School in New Jersey. And I think their kicker, maybe Ali Haji Shank that's how I named him, Ali Haji Shank.
Remember that nickname.
I think it was him who was hurt. It might have been Allegre that year, but whatever. They had to sign Eric Schubert late in the season. And I'm watching warm-ups, and he is out there kicking like his mother had dressed him to go out to wait for the school bus. He had this big parka on. And meanwhile, the 85 Bears, their linemen, and it's cold as anything. It is really bitter cold. And their linemen are all coming out with the short sleeves, the whole thing. And like, okay, let me call somebody and place a wager on this, please. Get me Vegas on the phone.
Was he dressed like that little kid from a Christmas Story, like that, where he couldn't even move his arms?
That's exactly how Eric Schubert looked, yeah. Of course, he wasn't the one who whiffed on the punt, although Landeta said he didn't whiff, whatever. But
sure, looked like a whiff to me. I mean, I've seen that a million times.
The wind blew it, he said,
Well, you missed it. It's a whiff. What are you going to do?
Yeah, counts. It's like a golf swing, it counts. If you whiff,
right.
Broke.
Well, listen, so you're still doing your picks column for the Daily News and your Daily News. So how's that going?
I won this week. I had the Jets with 10.5 yesterday, and that didn't work out too well. That was
I think I was on the Jets. I was getting 11.5 even, and
that didn't matter, did it?
Now, it's funny they got back in the game, but it certainly didn't feel like a 15-point game last night, right? Good grief. It felt like a 50-point game.
They couldn't. I think the first half, I didn't watch. I confess I didn't watch the rest of the game.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you realize that it's done. So I think the Colts had the ball 4 times in the first half and scored 4 touchdowns. Come on.
With no resistance at all. I mean, good grief.
Yeah, but and then of course coming off the week that they had against the Bengals, which was an anomaly. But of course they had Mike White that whole game, and he played their most efficient game of the season, because the one thing Zach Wilson wasn't doing was making simple plays. He would never make the easy play. When they beat the Titans, he's running around back there. He's throwing a ball like he's Patrick Mahomes and completing downfield. But you ask him to throw a little slant, he can't do it. So Mike White, who doesn't have half the talent that Zach Wilson has, comes in last week and runs the offense and is efficient and puts the ball where it's supposed to be. And boom, they beat a team that was very flat, and looking forward to the Browns this week. So, but how could you figure the NFL? That's just one example of the craziness.
Be very interesting if they end up with a quarterback controversy in New York with New York Jets. It'd be just classic Jets, right?
Well, if you had a fan vote of Jets fans who are obviously perpetually frustrated, although I think they did make a deal with the devil in Super Bowl III. I think that was it.
I actually have my brother and sister-in-law. They do live out on Long Island. They're big Jet fans, and they're certain that the Jets will never win while Joe Namath is alive. So to kind of go along with what you said.
That's like the curse of the Bambino with the Red Sox. That's very interesting.
Yeah. It's possible. I guess anything's possible today.
Get Namath's reaction to that. We'll see what he has to say.
Hank, what do you take away from the season so far to date? I mean, the bounce back from the COVID season and whatnot. I mean, what are your feelings overall? Myself, it's sometimes I can't decide whether there's a bunch of good teams or a bunch of bad teams. I kind of go back and forth all the time. What are your thoughts on the season overall?
Well, there's some elite teams out there, and the rest of it's just like a conglomeration of stuff.
Yeah.
Even the bad teams have had their moments, even though they're still bad. The Lions are bad, but they had their moment. And then Jacksonville ends up beating the Dolphins, and over there, in spite of Urban Meyer, who's a disaster. So yeah, I think there are some teams that stick out, but there's not one team that sticks out. Usually in a season, you'll say this is the team.
Yeah.
I can't put my finger on that team this year, although. You look at in the NFC, you look at the Rams, obviously. Now they've got Von Miller. The Rams and the Cardinals are probably the most complete teams. And then the Bills in the AFC. But is there a team that you would definitely say is going to be in the Super Bowl right now? No, you can't. So, but there are a number of good teams, very good teams.
Yeah.
That's the way the league is structured now.
Yeah. Well, they want parity, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned the Cardinals a second ago, and I was very high on the Cardinals before the season. A little bit down on the Rams, but this Von Miller trade to me is like we're all in, and this could be a game changer for the Rams. That defense is really, really good before he got there.
Really good before. I mean, that front could dominate.
Yeah,
with Floyd and Donald in there. I mean, and now you got another edge guy. It's going to be tough. And the way they're playing on offense, Stafford and Kupp have immediate chemistry.
Yeah.
He seems to be thriving there after, just languishing in Detroit. Finally, he's got a chance with a good team, and he's showing off what he can do.
You think the Cardinals are for real? The rest of that?
What I thought about, they did really well off the offseason. They addressed their weaknesses, and especially on defense. Losing J.J. Watt's not going to help them.
Right.
I thought he was a big addition up front. And they last week, I guess they got Chandler Jones back for the Packer game. But yeah, I mean, I think they're a pretty much complete team. They can run the ball now. They've got a little bit of a running game, not excluding Kyler Murray. And DeAndre Hopkins is a beast. They got Murray running around back there, and that's the new age quarterback. So they've got the prototype.
Yeah, I feel like he's playing at a better level. He's more in control of his game. It feels like now than he was the first couple of years, right? Where he was still very good.
Yeah, but they surround him with more talent too, which helps.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do it all by himself, so he's playing with little. You're right. He's playing under control more.
I mean, he played well enough for them to still be undefeated. If that ball in the end zone that AJ Green doesn't go after for whatever reason, they're undefeated.
Never underestimate how could I put this? I would always say the stupidity of the NFL player, maybe the lack of intelligence of the NFL player. What gets me? I pick games, right?
It's probably not terribly politically correct, but that's okay on this show.
I'm sorry, but yeah,
you don't need to apologize.
Yeah, I probably someone will demand an apology somewhere. That seems to be the way of the world now. Everybody's
exactly.
Where was I? Oh yeah, so
the stupidity of the NFL player.
So I'm picking I pick games on Fridays, and you watch the red zone, and things are going your way, and all of a sudden there'll be this unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that for some reason they had to be they had to be macho and hit the guy, and it's like, what are you doing? Just control yourself and play within the game, and and that turns the game around. Something like that. Nothing gets me more aggravated than watching something like that. So
I have to totally agree with you. I mean, so we've talked a little bit overall. I mean, as far as surprises this year, right. I mean, who are the teams that have teams and players, I guess, that have really surprised, not come out of nowhere, but surprised you as far as where you thought they'd be at this point in the season?
I was like you. I like the Cardinals going in.
Yeah.
I think it's not necessarily a surprise because they're better than their record, and they're going to end up really well. But your team, I think the Patriots and what they've been able to do, it shouldn't be a surprise because of the foundation of the organization and Belichick. Right. And then last year they had all those COVID guys that opted out, and they were getting those people back. Yeah. But to take a rookie quarterback who's playing as the best rookie quarterback right now because he's the smartest rookie quarterbacks, and then you could build an offense around him. McDaniel is such a great offensive coordinator, so he's able to use his parts. And then that defense is just coming on right now. And they're the team that you got to watch. So they're not really a surprise because they are the Patriots, so why should you be surprised by anything the Patriots do? Right. But I think the fact that they are what they are in like primed to make that last half run as they always did. The one thing about New England was that Belichick always runs a very complicated defense. And they would put new guys in there every year. He'd always fit guys in, they change the gears, and if one guy goes out. I remember the Devils when they were really good, and Colin Campbell said of them that they have an interchangeable flock of forwards. You just take one guy out. So that's kind of what Belichick did on the defense. But in some years, it took a while before.
Agreed.
They knew what they were doing back there. And then by the end of the year, everybody was on the same page and they were unstoppable. So you're seeing a little bit of that right now with the Patriots. I guess of the good teams. Here's a surprise. I'm surprised the Dolphins are so terrible.
Well, I was going to have disappointments, but we can say they're a surprise disappointment. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's my other surprise. It's both a disappointment and a surprise. I think the Raiders are much better, and they continue to be undervalued this year. And the disappointment was, of course, Gruden, and that was also a surprise out of nowhere.
Are they better off without him?
They've been playing better without him.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's whether the locker room maybe is wasn't rallying around them, and now they are. And of course, now this week they have another test going into the Meadowlands after the whole Henry Ruggs thing. So I also think that probably going in and being on the road is probably the best thing for that Raiders team this year. But to be on the road this week and get away from everything, right? David Carr, that's his brother. Derek Carr is also under the radar. He's having a fabulous season and not getting enough credit for it because when you look at that Raiders team, they don't have much of a running game, so it's all him. So that's I'm surprised at the Raiders because usually you're looking at eventually they're going to screw up, right? Eventually they're going to sell. That's what the Raiders have done since Al Davis, the glory years. You can count on them to make the big penalty in the game or somewhere, or something goes wrong. And so far, I'm surprised that they are hanging in, and they could emerge as the team in the AFC West because you look at the Chiefs and all their problems. You talk about disappointments. That's number one on the list, Kansas City. And then you look at the Chargers, and now what's going on with them and Justin Herbert all of a sudden. So the Raiders could actually sneak in there and take that division. So that's another surprise to me.
Yes, he's just like wide open. To go back to the Patriots for a second, because obviously I finally got somebody on that agrees with me. All the people are telling me, I'm crazy when I said that. I said they would have road bumps early in the year. Mm-hmm. There'd be some growing pains for Mac Jones, which haven't been really that bad for him. He's really played pretty consistent. Last week was actually his worst game.
Yeah, he has, because they've structured the offense to make things easy for him, which is what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, their formula is very simple. It's just that nobody else could duplicate it.
I said they'd be fighting for 10. By the time the season got over, they'd be looking at 9, hopefully 10 wins, fighting for a wild card, and nobody'd want to play them. Now I'm not so sure, and I'm going to sound crazy here. I'm not so sure. I said they couldn't compete with the Bills, but the Bills, in my mind, are a bit of a disappointment. They're not playing great. Josh Allen's a little bit more inconsistent than he's been the last couple of years. What are your thoughts there?
They've had some rough spots, but here's what if you give them a cupcake, they crush it.
Right.
They pound like this week they're in Jacksonville, and they've had a few cupcakes on their schedule that they've just gone out and rolled over. But then they didn't come up big in Tennessee. The Titans got them, and Steelers got them in the first game. That was a weird game. So I think you're right. I think they're somewhat vulnerable. I still think they're the best team in the division, and they have talent on both sides of the ball. But never underestimate what the Patriots can do in a game, because they'll take away your players and they'll make you play. What the Patriots do is that when they're good is they make you play on their terms.
Agreed. That cuts a break too, because they play the Bills twice in December, and they're going to be much better in December than they are today. That's for sure.
That's true. I was going to mention that that's the schedule works to their advantage that way, and then they got the Jets early, so they got those two walkovers. So
exactly. You checked almost all my boxes on surprises as far as good surprises. Let me ask you about a couple. How about the Bengals? You think the Bengals are for real?
I think they were. I think that was a big letdown against the Jets. They're often they still move the ball. The giveaway last week that they didn't come to play was all the missed tackles.
Yeah.
If you come to play, you don't miss that many tackles, which they didn't against the Ravens. They didn't miss any tackles the week before. So that's an effort thing. I think that was a wake-up call. I think that's a young team that kind of didn't know how to deal with its own success, that sort of thing. They were all fat and happy after the Ravens game, and they're supposed to kill the Jets, and they didn't. But offensively, they still moved the ball. They scored points. They were up over 10 points in the fourth quarter, and they just collapsed. So I think look, for real, what do you mean? Super Bowl contender?
No. Can they win that division? That division feels wide open. Can they be a playoff contender? I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl. No.
They could. They're a playoff contender because Burrow. I think Burrow is going to be a tremendous talent in the league, and he's got this thing with Chase. It looks like they were from the LSU days.
Maybe Ed Orgeron should have followed him to Cincinnati. He might have been better off.
Yeah, but I think they're for real, especially in that division. It's not a great division. I mean, you're looking at one of the big disappointments in the Browns. But should we be surprised that the Browns are a disappointment? They're always a disappointment.
Yeah, there's always something missing there, right? And I don't know whether it's because of the drama that Odell Beckham brings, or I was never really sold on Baker Mayfield, to be honest with you. And he's played decent football, but there's something missing that I can't put my finger on there.
Yeah, their defense should be good. They've got a great pass rush, and Garrett's is a beast, and they've got a very good running game. Although they've been nicked up lately in the backfield, and Baker didn't have to do too much because of that running game. When he has to do too much, he does too much. Tries to do too much.
Yeah,
and just you're right. It's just, and I have my doubts about Stefanski as a coach. I think his in-game stuff isn't always good. His adjustments and just his play calling, all of that. I think he did a good job turning the culture around, getting him started. But now you're seeing some, cracks. And is he really the? So and I was a Browns fan as a kid. I was a Jim Brown fan. I loved watching that team. Although they're not really the Browns. The Browns are now the Ravens. My Browns are the Ravens.
Right. It gets confusing from here.
Yes, but so I would like to see them break out and, actually be relevant again. But going into last week, that Steelers game, that was kind of like, the Steelers were going to. That was an easy pick for me.
Oh my God, I was on the Browns. I can't believe it. I was on the Browns last week, and
that was an easy pick for me because I thought they could go in there. The Steelers could go in there and shut down the off. Their defense is pretty good, and that and now they're feeding the ball to Najee Harris.
Yeah.
And they get that part of their offense running. That's okay because then Ben Roethlisberger doesn't have to stand back there like an old man.
Well, he can't throw the ball 50 times a game. He's going to get sacked 12 if he does, right? I mean,
so they could be. And there's another organizational thing. The Steelers are never horrible, and when they're down, they come back. And this year is a perfect example. I mean, he's getting it done. Tomlin's getting it done. It's again, when you talk about organizations, I think the Patriots and the Steelers right now are at the very top for being consistent year in and year out.
Agreed. Again, on the plus side, a little bit of a surprise. I got two surprises that maybe aren't, but I had my reasons to think they might have problems. The Cowboys are, we thought that division would still be kind of like last year and all jumbled up, but the Cowboys are making a mockery of it right now. What are your thoughts on the Cowboys?
Yes, they're the class. They're obviously the class of the NFC East, and they're going to run away with it. Well, it's good to see Dak coming back and playing the way he is, and but the big surprise is on defense. And what Dan Quinn has done there is also worth noting. Quinn was the brains behind the Legion of Boom in Seattle, and now he's doing it in an entirely different way in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
But he's doing it. He was a lousy head coach. He's from Morristown, New Jersey, so he's from my backyard. But he wasn't a very good head coach, but the guy he's just a very good defensive coordinator. And they've got Diggs on the corner. And when they get Lawrence back, if they get Lawrence back, they're going to be even better up front. And they could outscore anybody. Now, well, last week, of course, with Rush in there, that was pretty incredible too. Kirk Cousins with the bad Kirk Cousins, so that helped. But I think they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender if Dak stays healthy again and they don't start doing Cowboys things, because that's another team that tends to shoot itself in the foot. But I think they could be. I think they are legit this year. They are very well balanced. They've got Pollard and Elliott running the ball, so they can do a lot of things to you.
It is interesting to watch. The other team I want to talk about, and we've added now the drama's continued. I thought the Packers were going to have a tough team just because of the Aaron Rodgers situation in general. I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan in the world because he complains about his team not doing things to give him better weapons, where he's got some great weapons, by the way. I don't know what he's talking about there because he's got two of the best weapons in football. But he doesn't do the things Tom Brady did for 20 years and give money back so that the team could get better, right, and stay under the cap. That's another story. Right. I thought that whole problem with –
and my wife will say, I don't know what he's done with his hair.
Oh, my God. my running comment now is you cannot wear that man bun unless you got a Jedi robe and a lightsaber. You can't wear that hairstyle. You just can't do it.
That's a little over the top, too. But, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, I agree with the hair thing. I thought he would have split the locker room. I thought they'd have problems this year. They've been rolling along pretty good after a shaky start in week one. Now we get this whole new drama with him this week where he's got COVID and he implied, I mean, I guess you can say he didn't literally lie back in the summer when he said he was immunized when he was asked if he got the vaccination. But right. I mean, what would you think he meant by that? I would have thought he meant he got the vaccination. Is this going to turn into another ordeal, or is he going to face repercussions, or is it just going to go away and he's going to come back after a week and
face repercussions? I mean, there's no stand, pat.
Right.
Rule. So, what did he violate really? I'm sure the Packers were aware of his vaccination status and were following protocol. But
doesn't he lose more credibility in the press and with the fans when you kind of mislead them the way he did this summer, though?
He did mislead them, but he's Aaron Rodgers, so he gets because he'll win. The fans, you think the fans in Green Bay are upset about this? I mean,
they don't care as long as they win, right?
Or they want him on the field, winning games.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that whole thing is, I think it's a little trumped up, and I don't think it really matters on the field. You could talk all about off the field, but I don't think it's divided the locker room at all. No. I think they know what they've got in him, and if you're not a Packer fan and you look at that, what an idiot! So okay, but I think inside the Packers locker room, I don't think it's going to affect them, other than that he won't be playing this week against Kansas City.
So it's become obvious he's just a strange guy. I never got that impression until the last couple of years.
No, he's definitely a strange. He's a California guy. He's a strange. But so is Brady. Brady's a little different California guy. Brady's for the surfer dude.
Everybody's got to bring up Tom Brady during my shows.
And he does have weapons. That guy has weapons. He can't complain about that. Devontae.
Yeah.
And now the former Jacksonville guy, Mercedes.
Mercedes Lewis, yeah.
Yeah, the tight end is actually starting to catch pass. He was always a big blocker. Now he's integrated into the offense as a pass catcher. So, and they came out and they relayed that egg on the opening day against the Saints in Jacksonville. And then from that point on, forget about it. So they're a good team, and I like their coach. I like LaFleur. I think he does a decent job there.
Yeah. Well, he should not have kicked the ball in the playoff last year, I don't think. But other than that, I'll give him a pass.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but everybody makes a mistake.
They do.
In a state championship game, I called a 3-2 fastball to the cleanup hitter in a grand slam. So I think about that every night when I go to.
Still. I lost your volume there.
Direction, I do.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, did you keep your job? You didn't get fired, did you?
It was volunteer. No, they couldn't fire me. But when the season was over, that was my last year coaching anyway. So I walked out. Not to get off on a tangent, but that was a great season. We were 15 years old, and 15-year-old coaching, and we made it to the state finals. And I was covering the Giants at the time, and we had the team down before we left for the Final Four, and Dan Reeves talked to them. This was when Reeves was the coach, and gave them a pep talk and kind of thing. It was kind of cool. And then the PR guy was putting our games on top of the clip sheet every day, because they would do clips, and our game would be the local paper would be right on there. So I came back, and we lost in the final. And Dan said to me, "Well, that was a very good run, man. He said, you should be proud of yourself. You made a really good run." And I said, "Well, thanks, Dan, but I just can't win the big one."
By the way, tangents are fine on this show. That's what we do here.
But anyway, that's a little tangent there. But that shows you. I love Dan when he was, but that's a different story for another day. But
we're the show for the ADD impaired here. I can tell you.
Where were we? We were on the Packers. Yeah, they'll be there. It's not a great division. The Lions and Bears both stink. The Vikings just can't get out of their own way. So yeah. They'll be there. So there'll be home games at Lambeau Field, and you know what that usually means.
And going back to that, because I had the Vikings on my list of disappointments again, and I don't know. They obviously need a new voice. I think Mike Zimmer's probably run his course there, and I'm not a big Kirk Cousins fan.
No.
And to me, those are the two biggest problems with that team. There's talent there.
Well, they should have three more. 3 of those losses should be wins.
Yeah.
They let them 3 games slip away. So. And then where are you? So, and then where are they going? Oh, they're playing the Ravens this week. Yeah. In Baltimore.
In Baltimore. Yeah. In Baltimore. Yeah.
It's the NFL. You never know. The Ravens are coming off a bye. Teams coming off a bye aren't always on top of their games.
Well, we can't talk about disappointments without talking about the Chiefs and what is going on. The core is kind of still there. Sammy Watkins is gone, but Patrick Mahomes doesn't look like Patrick Mahomes anymore. He looks like Jameis Winston, for crying out loud.
No, he's not there. It's really amazing. Well, look what the Giants did. The Giants with no great defense by any means.
Yeah,
they basically doubled. They've doubled Hill and Kelsey, and he couldn't go anywhere else. And when he tried to go somewhere else, he was off. The guy's he's inaccurate.
Yeah.
Once in a while he'll make the play where the wow play, but he's not making the regular plays. And defensively, they weren't good last year, and they're still not good.
Right.
and their secondary is really not good. I mean, you could throw the ball down the field on them. Sorensen is he's definitely gonna be here. This is last year with the Chiefs, but he's blowing a coverage every week. So will the Packers go in there and beat them with their backup quarterback? Well, it's very possible. The Giants almost pulled it off last week. And
I had Kansas City in a very, very, very large survivor pool, so I was sweating it out right to the end there for crying out loud.
You didn't take the Bengals in the survivor pool because that knocked out a bunch of people last week.
Yeah, I was very happy to see that result actually in my pool as well. So.
Yeah, the Chiefs. Yeah, look, they are at the top of the disappointed list, I would have to say. And
do they have any chance to get a rebound here and become again? I mean, anybody in the AFC can make the playoffs right now. Can they get back to the Super Bowl?
Every week you're looking at them saying, well, this is the week they're gonna put it all together, and they can't keep turning the ball over like they're doing.
Yeah.
And then every week they don't put it together, and they keep turning the ball over, and their defense can't make stops down the field. So, and last year, if you remember last year, I know they made it to the Super Bowl, but last year was the year of the inflated spread. Remember, they were like 10-point favorite, double-digit favorites, and they never covered.
I lost your volume again.
Okay, am I good?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay, so and this year it's more the same. That last year was where was I? Last year was the inflated spread. They weren't covering, but they were still winning. And now they're a little worse than they were last year. That every problem is magnified. And again, Patrick Mahomes isn't playing like Patrick Mahomes. He's not Superman. And did he say at the beginning of the year they were going to go 17-0? Didn't Patrick Mahomes say that? I think he did. Well, they're a long way from 17-0.
Yeah, well, that's long gone. That ship left a long time ago.
Yeah, but now they just got to, will they make the playoffs? They may not even be in the postseason, which would be the biggest surprise of all.
A couple other disappointments I had written down, and with Russell Wilson being out, it becomes even worse because Geno Smith's your quarterback. You're in a lot of trouble. But the Seahawks, I thought, were in trouble before Russell Wilson got hurt. Are they a disappointment, or should we have been expecting this because of their?
No, they're not a disappointment because I didn't think their defense was very good. I thought they were on that side of the ball. So they are what I thought they would be. But they're kind of, they still are hanging in a little bit. They got a couple of wins. Well, they got the Jaguars last week, and they're not going to make the playoffs. But I thought they were a bubble team to begin with, so they're not that much of a disappointment. And the fact that Wilson got hurt, if they were this way with Russell Wilson not getting hurt, then they'd be more of a disappointment. But you got to give them a break with Geno at QB.
Yeah, did you view the 49ers kind of the same way? Because a lot of people were looking at that NFC West as, the strongest division in football, and they could get all four teams in the playoffs and blah, blah, blah. And
I thought they'd be better. I thought that they would be a bubble playoff team, and they're really not. Again, they lost Jimmy G for a while, although he's not a world beater. But, they just had to play their rookie, Trey Lance. And again, they were hit with, last year they were decimated by injuries, and it started early again this year. They lost some really good people. So, but now there's pressure on Shanahan. It was, is he the guy? Was he overrated as a coach?
Wow, so you're reading my mind here, Hank. I was gonna go there next. You're reading my mind here. Awesome.
So there started to get some questions out there in San Francisco about it. They had a nice win over the Bears, but they were the Bears last week. Then they have the Cardinals this week at home. So let's see what happens there.
One of the other things I had written down is disappointments, and I had it under my players list, but I guess we can list it as teams. The Washington defense I thought was going to be as good as the Rams or maybe better based on last year and some of the additions they made, and they have been just awful.
From the start.
Yeah. That
was another team where you said, well, okay, their defense.
Oh, I said the Redskins, sorry. I got to put a $20 bill in my cup over here.
Oh, sorry. Really?
I got a rule.
Put one in for me because I still called. I can't look at that team and think of it. The Washington football. It's the same thing about the Cleveland. I'm not going to be able to watch the Cleveland Guardians next year. I'm sorry.
Well, they may not be the Guardians yet. Now they got a lawsuit because of a roller derby team.
Oh, that's right. The Guardians. Yeah, they may have to come up with something else. It's like, look, what I don't. Okay, you change the name of it. Here we are, another tangent. So you change the name of a team, but you can't change the history of that team. You know, when the Washington. Okay, if you want to call them whatever they are, the Washington whatevers right now, they were still the Redskins when they won the Super Bowls. They had that thing on their helmet, and you can't go back and Photoshop that out. Sammy Baugh did not play for the Washington football team. Sammy Baugh played for the Washington Redskins.
Right.
And the same thing with the Indians. Bob Feller and Larry Doby did not play for the Cleveland Guardians. So please don't try to wipe out all the history and say that, you know, in 1948, the Cleveland Guardians made it to the World Series. No, it doesn't work that way. They were the Indians back there, and the Redskins were the Redskins. So, will they finally come up with a name? You're going to name the team. We got to have the whole WFT thing. The other way around.
You know what? It's funny when you say that. Anytime I see the acronym, I read it the other way. WTF, always. That's where my head goes.
Yeah, it's kind of like a "Let's Go Brandon" thing. But it's. But you're right. But Chase Young and those guys, they were so dominant last year. And where are they? They can't even, you know, they prance around once in a while. I mean, they make a sack, and it's like, okay, there he is. Okay, oh yeah, Chase Young, there he is. Yeah, and their offense, you know, they get the funny thing about the excuse me, the unmentionable offense is that they move up and down the field and they can't score. Look what they did against Green Bay. They were, I don't know how many times they were in their territory.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then, of course, Riverboat Ron keeps going for it and fourth. They'll just kick a field goal, get some points on the board. That's the other thing about. What do you think about this propensity for coaches now to constantly go for it on fourth down?
Except for the guy who always went for it on fourth down, my coach. He doesn't ever do it. Well, he's done it a couple times recently, but he stopped doing it. But you're right. Fourth down, everybody's going for it.
And then they don't get it. What was it last week? I guess the Saints got away. They ended up winning the game, but it was early in the game. And they had a fourth down, like on the, I think it was the Bucks 45-yard line, or their, where they might have been even at midfield. Whatever, they were close to midfield. And they go, and Peyton goes for it on fourth down, and you don't get. Now you just gave Tom Brady a short field.
Yeah.
So what is the it's early in the game, you know, pin them back. You got a good defense. Make a punt. Why? Okay, if you pick up the first down, you're still around midfield. You still have to complete the drive, right?
Right.
Just punt the ball. And the downside of missing the first down is now Tom Brady, in his first possession of the game, has a short field. And sure enough, he took him in for a touchdown. I mean, and Sean Payton is he's a good coach. So it's just maddening to me sometimes. But you know, it's the whole. I guess it's the whole I guess they're analytics. If you want to.
Well, they are, I guess. Just like we get into that with football, like baseball, they'll just ruin the sport. Please, don't do that.
So, I mean, coach with your head, not by a worksheet, an Excel worksheet.
That's a division we haven't talked a lot about yet. I mean, Tampa Bay's obviously the class there with Brady still playing at the top of his game, unbelievably at like 62 years old. And can anybody else? I mean, the Saints have played well. I don't think anybody's going to beat them out for the division, but I'm not sure yet myself. Where are the Saints? Where are the Panthers? Are they any good? Well, the Saints have played. Their record's 5-2. Are they that good?
You mentioned the Panthers. Are they any good? I have two words for you: Sam Darnold.
Yeah, so I guess that's a no for you.
I'm going to go to my handy dandy picks for the week. Sam Darnold, is he playing this? I didn't.
I believe he is. Yeah. You got the Patriots, too, by the way.
Yeah, okay. So this is Sam Darnold against Bill Belichick's defense with the Jets in 3 games, all losses. 1 touchdown, 6 interceptions, and a 46.4 passer rating.
Is that with or without Ghosts?
And, of course, that was the Ghost game. Yeah, the last Ghost game. So, you know, what do you think he's going to do when he goes out in the field and has to...
What's the line on that game? I don't often bet my team, but
the Patriots are favored by 3.5. I think it's
on the road.
And I'm not sure if McCaffrey's playing.
That seems like an easy bet, doesn't it?
But when McCaffrey doesn't play, they stink, and Sam Darnold's part of the problem. So that's my answer for your.
That takes care of them. How about the Saints? Again, I wasn't sold on Jameis Winston, and now with him gone, what are you thinking there?
They'll be okay because I think Taysom Hill may come back. I think he will come back. If not this week, he will be back next week. And they were okay with him. So I think they could probably, they'll be in contention for a wild card. And the rest of the division, the Falcons are just another team. But look at the Bucs. The Bucs have been great at home, but they haven't been that good on the road.
No. It's funny. This regular season with the Bucs feels a lot like last regular season with them. I mean, they didn't really catch fire until they got to the playoffs last year, and then they just were really good on defense.
If you remember, they had one of the late buys. I think it was a week 12 buy, if you remember. And they were a tired team that needed a bye, and once they came out of the bye, that's when they caught fire. They really needed it. And then Brady kind of took over the offense a little bit.
Yeah, I had talked all year, most of the year, until about that point that you're talking about, that there was a problem there between him and Arians, and they need to get on the same page, or the season was going to go up in flames, and Brady may be gone and retire. And then they kind of turned it around. It's what's funny. You're going to find. I don't know if I told you this when we might have talked last. That every game of the playoffs last year, I bet against Tom Brady. How stupid am I? A guy who watched him for 20 years.
We talked about the stupidity of the NFL player. Now we could talk about the stupidity of Keith Angle.
Gosh,
betting against.
But I won't get offended by it. Don't worry.
I will tell you. I think I cashed with Washington in the playoff. The unmentionables, if you remember, when Heineke had a pretty good game, and I think so I think that's the one game I did cover. But I picked the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so I was wrong there.
Yeah, well, I did too, obviously. So that game was over about halftime, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to coaches a little bit. We already talked about Kyle Shanahan maybe being in trouble. Is Urban Meyer coming back next year? I can't see any. I think he's going to be one and done. What are your thoughts?
I agree. There's nothing much to say. There's nothing.
Yeah, you're still off.
Sorry, am I back?
Yeah, you're back now.
It's the guy that's supposed to play with me at 9:30. He keeps calling me on my phone, so that's why it gets kind of.
Tell him to relax. It's 8:42.
I know. So, but anyway, coaches. Where were we?
Urban Meyer.
Oh, Urban Meyer.
Conversation.
Look, he's shown nothing, and I don't think he's helping Trevor Lawrence at all. And I don't think that owner's going to be very patient with him. He's going to want to move on.
Is he done coaching?
Who knows? He'll probably end up with a college job again. I wouldn't doubt that.
You think he'll get a good a power conference job even after all this nonsense this year?
He's not gonna go back to Youngstown State. I could.
Yeah, well, I don't expect that, but his name's going to get thrown around for LSU and USC and everything else.
I don't. Look, he was a very successful college coach, so it depends on the alumni. It really does.
Yeah.
It always depends on the alumni. So who knows? Yeah, he could.
Meaning the alumni, whether they care about this nonsense when they're in the bar scene and stuff.
Yeah, the ones that donate the money. So they're the power behind the scenes. So I wouldn't doubt that he could I wouldn't rule him out getting another power conference coaching job somewhere. My
next victim is a guy I don't think should have been here this year, is Matt Nagy. I don't understand how they let him, because I was a Mitchell Trubisky fan, and I still think he might have been a viable NFL quarterback if Matt Nagy hadn't ruined him. And I didn't know how the Bears could possibly give the keys to another possible franchise quarterback to the same guy. And I think he's got to be on the edge there in Chicago. What are your thoughts about him?
Yeah, he was on my list when I was thinking about coaches on the hot seat, and Matt Nagy is on the hot seat in very cold Chicago. And I'm not sold on Justin Fields either. I think he's a very poor Lamar Jackson imitation. But I don't think he could throw the ball.
Yeah.
Can't have a guy just running around back there.
I'm gonna go to that topic in a second. Any other coaches you see that are not really a hot seat that we haven't chatted about already?
Joe Judge could be on the hot seat, but the Giants are, depending on how they finish the season. But the Giants are very patient with coaches. They have fired them recently, but it takes a while. It takes something to get them to finally pull that trigger, and they never fire a coach in season. So
Carlos brings up Fangio. He could be in trouble, I guess, too, in Denver.
Yeah, but he's had great problems, and I think they're almost in tank mode. With the trade of Von Miller. I don't know what they're going to do the rest of the year. But they weren't very that team was a team that had to win with its defense, and because they just didn't have enough talent. They have a game manager, a quarterback in Bridgewater, who I think is a very good game manager, but no running game, and they lost some targets. So, and the Broncos started off 3-0 against probably the easiest schedule. I think they had the Giants, the Jags, and the Jets, not necessarily in that order. And then they started playing some real teams. And so, yeah, he could be. He's another guy who could be. But I think, where do you go from there? You got to bring in an offensive guy, I'm sure. So he's another guy.
Agreed. And so the rookie quarterbacks, I mean, Lawrence is going to make it. He just needs the right guy to be coaching him through his career, I think. And we know Urban Meyer isn't that guy. I think he'll be fine. We see Mac Jones is going to be fine. You have your doubts about Fields, as do I. What about Trey Lance and Zach Wilson? What?
Wilson will be okay. He just has to, again, start making the easy plays. I think he'll be okay. But it's going to take some time. And he's going to lose time because he's still injured. So all this development will be put forward till next year again. So he'll lose that time if he doesn't come back soon. Trey Lance is another guy. He seems to be okay, but he needs time to develop too. But he's almost in the Justin Fields category, not quite out there with Justin Fields, but he's kind of a similar type case. He's got to prove he can throw the ball, basically.
This brings up an interesting question that comes up a lot when there's a show that I go on and guest on. I talk about the Patriots. We talk about the NFL in general. And the question that comes up a lot is when to play rookie quarterbacks. And my argument is it depends on the situation. Mac Jones can play now. And I said in training camp, if he was a better quarterback, he would play because that team can win and protect him, right? As you said before, they put him in position to succeed. Yeah. But then there's situations like the Bears where maybe Justin Fields would be better off not playing and watching for a year. Right.
Well, I mean, if you remember back to the old days, the rookie quarterback would always need seasoning and a couple of years watching the veteran quarterback. And then that's changed lately because it's easier to play quarterback now than it used to be. So it doesn't take as much as it used to take. So it's a little easier to step in. But again, it depends on the situation and the quarterback. I think Mac Jones is a perfect fit for the Patriots.
Hit it again.
Am I back again?
Yeah, give me that guy's number. I'm going to call him up.
Sorry for the distraction. Mac Jones is perfect.
That's no worries.
He's such an intelligent guy, and I think they drafted him because of that. So he could go into that offense, and he's going to understand what his role is and what he needs to do. So so that's a great job. Zach, with no weapons, it was going to be hard for him to step in and do what he was doing in college, and then because he's going to try to do too much, and exactly what happened.
One of my diehard followers, Carlos, who we have a little wager on Mac Jones, but he thinks the Patriots, he can play now because the Patriots are not worrying about the playoffs. By the way, the Patriots are worrying about the playoffs, Carlos. Please stop.
Oh, yeah. I think
beyond there.
Here's the other. I think the rest of the league is worried about the Patriots making the playoffs right now because they are coming on. And I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm just a neutral observer.
Oh, I know. I know.
I'm a neutral observer. I don't actually have an NFL team. But look at last year, a perfect situation for Justin Herbert. Had a great rookie season last year, and Burrow was having a great rookie season until he got injured. So it depends on the situation and the quarterback. There are those there are quarterbacks who transcend. First of all, if you're going to be a rookie quarterback, you got to have a good arm and you got to throw the ball.
You know, it's funny because
Even
the
Lamar
argument that we were having is the other side of this argument was every rookie quarterback needs to sit and watch. And I said, that's crazy. If he's in a position to play and contribute, he should play.
Right. And they proved that last year with Burrow and Herbert. But you got to be able to throw the ball. You can't have a weak-armed quarterback who's a runner. Even Lamar Jackson took time to get to be, because remember at the beginning he was running around and making plays and with his legs and stuff, but there was always questions about his arm strength and everything. Well, that came along second,
right?
But it took some time for him to get to that point. So unless you come right out of the box and you could throw the ball like Nolan Ryan, you're going to have a hard time developing.
Yeah, it's funny. We talked about Mac Jones and my defending of him with my friend Carlos. I didn't want Mac Jones. Every show I go on that I guess that I go, I don't want Mac Jones. I don't want him. And especially the Mac and Jack show that is on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. I argued I don't want Mac Jones until they drafted him. now I think he's the cat's meow. I love that guy.
No, he's a perfect fit.
He is.
He's a young. I'm not going to say he's Tom Brady, but he's in the Tom Brady mold. That's all I'm saying. He's that type of quarterback.
Exactly. And that's been my argument, Hank, is that, people are going, well, you think you're comparing him to Brady. I said, I'm comparing him to Brady in 2001.
Right.
He's almost exactly the same player.
He's the same type of quarterback, and he's in the right place. Obviously, if you're in the Tom Brady mold, we're better than New England to be in Tom Brady mold. So.
And they're asking him to do the same things they asked Tom Brady to do then. Don't lose game, right?
Right.
So.
What I like about Mac Jones too is he's the same kind of hard worker that he seems to really want to put in the time and the film room. He's a hard studier, and that's why Brady's still playing now when younger quarterbacks like Eli are doing Monday night with their brothers.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. He does learn from his mistakes too, and he forgets those mistakes later on. I think that's really important for an NFL quarterback too. So, yeah. Anyway, let's. I know we got to get you off of here quickly, and I got to get on to a meeting.
My phone
here.
I got the red part of the phone is beeping at me. So,
Are you willing to give me 2 teams that play in the conference championship games in each league, or are you not there yet?
Rams. I think the Rams are going to be there. And that might be a divisional battle. That might be Rams Cardinals. That's either going to be okay, I'm going to go out on a limb. Okay. Rams Cowboys NFC Championship game.
That'll be a good one.
All right, that'll be a good one. In the AFC, Buffalo, I think Buffalo will get there. And, I don't know. Name the second team in the AFC. I don't know. I mean,
it could be any one of 10 teams.
Tennessee was looking like it could be, and then Derrick Henry, they're not now.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to be there. AFC West, I don't know. Buffalo, New England.
I was going to say the same thing. I like Buffalo, New England. But I like the Rams and the Buccaneers, actually. I'm sorry, Cardinals and the Buccaneers is who I like in the NFC. So it'll be interesting.
You know why I don't like the Buccaneers? Because it's hard to get back to the second straight year.
Well, before the season, I picked the Bucs and Chiefs both to get back there. So again, stupid Keith. Again, you can say it one more time before you go if you want. Hey.
All right, don't be pulling any unsportsmanlike conduct.
Hank, listen, before you go, City of Champions. I know we talked about it on previous shows. Great book, guys. Get out and get it. I know, Hank, you're working on a sequel, which is a takeoff on one of the chapters of that book.
Yeah.
What do you want to tell us about where we can find the book and what's going on maybe with the new book?
Amazon, it's out there, and I don't know if anybody visits bookstores anymore, but it's probably
are there bookstores.
But the easiest way is go on Amazon and get a copy. You could get either Kindle or hardcover. So, and if you want to get in touch with me, you could go to hankgola.com, and there's a little thing at the bottom, and you can contact me. And if you want to get the book signed, we can arrange. for me to sign the book and make it even a collector's item, so to speak.
Can you sign my Kindle? If I send you my Kindle, will you sign my Kindle and send it back? Or?
No, I'll try. I could do a digital signature, I suppose. So,
maybe we could do that.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Hank, listen, thanks for coming in, guys.
Right.
Get out and read City of Champions. Read Hank in the Daily News for his picks, because I guarantee you'll do better with his than with mine on when I give you on Sunday mornings. So just keep that in mind.
0-1 this week, so we'll see what we do.
Hank, good luck out there. Listen, wear your gloves. It's going to be a little chilly.
I have my cold weather gloves ready. Don't worry about it. All
awesome. Right. Good man. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye. Hank Gola, one of my favorite guests. Bring him on, talk about football here and there, and lots going on. Carlos, sorry I couldn't get to all your stuff. I had to get some questions in for Hank, and I've got a meeting here at 9, but let's see if there's anything else I want to bring up. I think we covered the most important stuff you put up here, Carlos. You obviously don't think the Patriots – wait a minute. Patriots are lucky to – I've heard this forever. Why is Buffalo not lucky that the Patriots are in that same division, Carlos? Answer me that. Riddle me that, Carlos. We'll dive into this more on Sunday, Carlos, I promise. What do you got there? You're in Gala. Where's Gala? What is Gala? Anyway, good time with Hank Gola today. Carlos, we're never going to agree on. By the way, how many more wins do I need, Carlos? I'm up in my prediction. You're right. Buffalo will blow they'll blow the playoffs this year too. They'll blow the playoffs to the Patriots. In my mind, Patriots get better every week. Carlos, here's the thing you got to do about Mac Jones and your thoughts about the Patriots. Watch every game and watch every play. I don't just pull this crap out of my head. I promise you. And I know you're a sports fan and you're probably not getting the Patriots where you are, but I'm going out and I'm watching every game and every play. And I would give you an honest assessment, as I did with Cam Newton last year. Terrible. Mac Jones had his worst game last week. I don't expect that to continue. The team found a way to win. The defense played better, and we were better. You're not impressed yet. Well, watch closer, Carlos. Brett Cloutier. No, I agree. The Chiefs aren't exactly out of it just yet, but they better turn it around pretty quickly because, they look bad. They don't just lose games. They look really bad doing it. They look bad winning games, as we talked about earlier. They looked bad last Monday night against the Giants. I mean, really, really bad. And I'm going to have to run here quick, guys, because I got a meeting at 9 o'clock, but Mac Jones on the Jaguars can't win. Well, neither can Lawrence. Who can tell me? Give me who could go there and win games, Carlos? That's not a good comparison. He'll lose with the Jets too. Carlos, back up, buddy. You're not making apples to apples comparisons. The only guy that we've talked about that would be as good on the Patriots as Mac Jones would be maybe Lawrence. Justin Wilson wouldn't be. Zach Wilson wouldn't be. Trey Lance wouldn't be. They may not even be playing now. They might have Cam Newton still. I'm not sure about that one, though. That's a little – I didn't say he was great, number one. I said he's a really good quarterback and will be a really good quarterback. Never said how good he was right now. I said he's playing well enough to win games. Tom Brady was not a great quarterback in the year 2001 when they won the Super Bowl for the first time. Tom Brady is exactly – in fact, Tom Brady was not as good as Mac Jones is today. Look it up. It's accurate. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk right here on the Northeast Stream Sports Network. Carlos, keep those comments coming because you and the rest of you guys read your comments. Keep these shows going. It's a little harder when I do an interview, but we'll get into those comments on Sunday. I promise you that, Carlos. Make sure you're here. I do expect him to get in the playoffs. I expect that team to be in the playoffs. They might even win the division, Carlos. See you guys Sunday. Keith Engel out.